In the spring of 1645, Japan's greatest swordsman wrote 21 sentences. Then he died. Those 21 sentences became the Dokkodo, the way of walking alone, Musashi's final wisdom, his last transmission before death. Undefeated in 61 duels, master of strategy, philosopher, artist. And in his final week, he distilled everything into 21 brutal truths, not for the comfortable, not for the weak, for warriors who walk alone. This is the story of a young Ronin who found that scroll, and how each of the 21 precepts nearly killed him before they made him unbreakable. Chapter 1. The Discovery. Takeshi knelt in the dirt outside Reigando Cave, waiting to die. 26 years old, masterless Ronin, no clan, no home, no purpose. His lord had been defeated in the clan wars 3 years ago. His fellow samurai either took their own lives in ritual seppuku or scattered across Japan seeking new masters. Takeshi did neither. He wandered, took odd jobs, guarded merchants, fought bandits, slowly became hollow, a sword without a sheath, a warrior with no war. He'd heard the rumors. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary sword saint, lived in this cave, had lived here for years. Some said he was dead. Others said he'd achieved enlightenment and no longer needed the world. Takeshi didn't care which was true. He came to the cave for one reason, to ask Musashi to kill him. Not suicide. That would be cowardice. But death by the greatest swordsman who ever lived? That would be honorable. Quick. Final. He'd been kneeling outside the cave entrance for 3 days. No food. Little water. Waiting for permission to enter and waiting for Musashi to emerge and grant his request. On the 3rd evening, as the sun dropped behind the mountains, a voice came from inside the cave. "You may enter." Takeshi stood. His legs were numb. He hadn't expected the voice to be so weak. Old, almost frail. He entered the cave. Inside, dim light from a single oil lamp revealed a small space. Spartan, nothing unnecessary. Scrolls on one wall, a sword rack with 2 blades, calligraphy brushes, ink, paper. And in the center, sitting in Caesar, was Musashi. Perhaps 60 years old, gray hair, weathered face, but his eyes still sharp, still seeing everything. "You've come to ask me to kill you," Musashi said. "Not a question." "Yes, sensei." "Why?" Takeshi hesitated. "I have no purpose. My lord is dead. My clan is gone. I'm a sword with no one to wield me. Death by your hand would be the most honorable end I could achieve." Musashi was silent for a long moment. Then he coughed a wet, rattling sound. Blood flecked his lips. He wiped it with a cloth. "I'm dying," Musashi said simply. "I have perhaps a week, maybe less. So I cannot grant your request. I have no strength left for duels." Takeshi felt something collapse inside him. Even this, his final plan, was denied. "But," Musashi continued, "before I die, I'm writing something. 21 principles. The essence of everything I've learned. Dokkōdō, the way of walking alone." He gestured to a half-completed scroll on the low table beside him. "If you truly wish to die, I cannot stop you. But if you wish to live, truly live, as a warrior who walks his own path without needing a master, then you may stay. Help me finish this scroll, and when it's complete, I'll teach you what each principle means. Not through words, through tests." "Tests?" Takeshi asked. "Life is the test. You'll go out into the world, face situations, and you'll discover whether you can live by these principles or whether you'll break." Takeshi looked at the old master. "At the scroll, at the sword rack. And if I break, then you die. Not by my hand, by your own weakness. But if you survive, if you integrate these truths, you'll become something more than a masterless Ronin. You'll become a man who needs no master, who walks alone, who is complete." Takeshi knelt. "I'll stay." Musashi nodded. "Good. We begin now. The first principle is the foundation of everything." He picked up a brush, dipped it in ink, and with a steady hand, despite his dying body, he wrote, "Accept everything just as it is." "Accept everything just the way it is," Musashi translated. This is the first law, and it's the hardest, because you don't accept anything. Takeshi, you're at war with reality. Your lord died. Your clan fell. You think reality should have been different. You think you should still have a purpose given to you by someone else. But I did have a purpose then, Takeshi protested. Now I have none. No, you never had a purpose. You had directions. Someone pointed you at an enemy, and you swung your sword. That's not the purpose. That's being a tool. Musashi set down the brush. Purpose comes from within. But you can't find it while you're fighting reality. Accept what is. Your lord is dead, accept it. Your clan is scattered, accept it. You're alone, accept it. Only then can you build something new. How? Takeshi asked. How do I just accept? By going out into the world and having reality break you until you stop resisting it. That's your first test. Tomorrow, you'll leave this cave. You'll take no money, no food, only your swords, and you'll survive for 7 days, accepting whatever happens. No complaints, no resistance, no wishing things were different. And then we'll see if you're ready for the second principle. That night, Takeshi didn't sleep. He watched Musashi write, watched the old master cough blood into cloths, watched him continue writing despite the pain. If this dying man could accept his death and still create something meaningful, maybe Takeshi could accept his life and find meaning in it too. At dawn, Musashi handed him a small wooden token. When you return in 7 days, show me this. It proves you left and came back. It proves you chose to continue rather than disappear into death. Takeshi took the token, bowed, and walked out of the cave into a world he was about to stop fighting. Chapter 2. The Path of Acceptance. Precepts 1 to 3. Accept everything as it is. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Do not depend on partial feelings. The first day, Takeshi walked into the nearest village. He had no plan, no destination, just the commitment to accept whatever happened for 7 days. Within an hour, he was tested. A group of bandits stopped him on the road, 5 of them, armed, dangerous. Your swords, the leader demanded, and any coin you're carrying. Old Takeshi would have exploded, would have drawn steel. It would have killed them for the insult. But Musashi's words echoed. Accept everything as it is. These bandits existed. They were making demands. That was reality. Resisting it wouldn't change it. Fighting might satisfy his ego. But to what end? I have no coin, Takeshi said calmly. And these swords are the only thing of value I own. If you take them, I accept that. But know that I'm a trained samurai. If you attack, some of you will die before you take them. Is that acceptable to you? The leader studied him, saw something in Takeshi's eyes, not fear, not bravado, just acceptance, willingness to die, if that's what reality demanded. Move on, the leader finally said. Takeshi bowed slightly and continued walking. The second test came that evening. A wealthy merchant offered him dinner and shelter in exchange for guarding his compound that night. The food was exquisite. The best Takeshi had eaten in months. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. He ate enough to sustain himself. Nothing more. When the merchant offered sake, he declined. When the merchant's daughter smiled at him invitingly, he looked away. Pleasure wasn't forbidden, but seeking it, making it the goal, that was weakness. Pleasure should be a byproduct of right action, not the target. The third test came on day 4. He encountered a former samurai from his clan, a man he'd trained with, fought beside. The man was now serving a new lord, prosperous, well-fed, content. Takeshi, join us. Lord Shimada is accepting Ronin. You'd have a position again. Purpose, honor. Part of Takeshi wanted it. Desperately. The familiar structure, the belonging. Do not depend on partial feelings. He felt the pull toward comfort. But he also remembered why he'd left the cave, to discover if he could walk alone, to find purpose within himself, not borrowed from another master. Thank you, Takeshi said, but I'm walking a different path now. You're a fool, his former companion said. Walking alone gets you nothing but death. Maybe. But it would be his death, his choice, his path. 7 days later, Takeshi returned to Reigando Cave. Musashi was visibly weaker, but his eyes sharpened when Takeshi entered. "You came back." "I did. Tell me what you learned." "I learned that acceptance isn't surrender. It's clear to see. Reality doesn't care what I want it to be. Fighting it only creates suffering, but accepting it creates space to act intelligently. And pleasure? Pleasure is fine. Seeking it is a weakness. I ate when hungry, but didn't chase the taste. I sheltered from rain, but didn't seek luxury. And partial feelings? I felt drawn to rejoin a clan. It was only part of me, the part that wants safety. But following partial feelings means betraying deeper truths. I want something more than safety." Musashi smiled. It was the first time Takeshi had seen him smile. "Good. You've grasped the foundation. Now we build. The next 3 principles deal with the mind." He showed Takeshi the scroll. More characters had been added. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Keep yourself detached from desire throughout your life. Do not regret what you have done. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Be detached from desire your whole life. Do not regret what you have done. These 3, Musashi explained, are about freeing your mind from the prison of ego, attachment, and past. Your next test is this. You'll spend the next 7 days in a village helping people, anyone who asks. But you must do it thinking nothing of yourself, not seeking gratitude, recognition, or reward. And you must let go of one desire each day. Name it, release it, never look back. What if I fail? Then you'll discover what you're still clinging to. And that discovery itself is valuable. Chapter 3. The Mind Principles. Precepts 4 to 6. Think lightly of yourself, deeply of the world. Be detached from desire. Do not regret your actions. Takeshi arrived at a farming village on the coast. He immediately offered his labor to anyone who needed it. An old woman needed her roof repaired. He spent 2 days thatching. When she offered payment, he refused. When she insisted on feeding him, he accepted only rice and water. When she praised him, he felt his ego rising. "I'm a good person. I'm valuable," and immediately released it. Think lightly of yourself. A fisherman needed help pulling nets. Takeshi worked from dawn to dusk. His hands bled. His back screamed. But he noticed something. When he stopped thinking about himself, stopped monitoring his discomfort, stopped calculating what he'd gain, the work became effortless. Not easy. Effortless. A different thing entirely. Think deeply of the world. The fisherman's daughter was sick. Takeshi walked 6 hours to the nearest town to find medicine. When he returned, she'd already recovered on her own. The medicine was now useless. Old Takeshi would have felt frustrated, wasted effort, wasted time. New Takeshi felt nothing. He'd acted based on what seemed right in that moment. The outcome was irrelevant. He'd walked the path with full commitment. That was enough. Do not regret what you have done. Each night, Takeshi sat by the ocean and released a desire. Day 1. The desire for recognition. Let it go. Into the waves. Gone. Day 2. The desire for comfort. Let it go. Dissolved in foam. Gone. Day 3. The desire for a woman's love. This one was harder. Loneliness was real. But the desire, the need for another person to complete him, that was weakness. Let it go. Into the darkness. Gone. Day 4. The desire for revenge against those who destroyed his clan. He hadn't even realized he was carrying this. But examining himself honestly, he found it a quiet rage, burning in his chest, demanding justice. He sat with it, felt its weight. Then it was released. Justice and revenge were different things. Justice might happen. Revenge was poison. Let it go. Day 5. The desire to be seen as strong. This was subtle. He wanted people to respect him, fear him, and acknowledge his skill. But that desire made him perform rather than be. Made him prove rather than simply exist. Let it go. Day 6. The desire for certainty. To know that this path would lead somewhere good. Following Musashi's principles would result in success, safety, and meaning. This was the deepest desire. The need to know the future would be okay. But life gives no such promises. Walking alone means walking into uncertainty. Accepting that reality doesn't guarantee outcomes. Let it go. Day 7. He sat by the ocean and searched for remaining desires. Found one he'd missed: the desire to be special, to be chosen, to matter cosmically. The ego's final defense: I'm unique, I'm important, the universe cares about me. But the universe doesn't care. Stars explode, mountains erode, empires fall. Takeshi was one man, one brief life, cosmically insignificant. And somehow, releasing that desire didn't create despair. It created freedom. If he didn't matter cosmically, then he was free to matter personally, to walk his path for its own sake, to be good for no reason, to help for no reward. Let it go, all of it, into the ocean, into the night, gone. When he returned to the cave, Musashi was lying down. Breathing was difficult. "Tell me," the old master whispered. "I learned that the self is the source of all suffering, not the body, the self. The story I tell about who I am and what I deserve. When I stopped defending that story, life became simple, clear, direct. And desire still arises, but I don't chase it, don't feed it. It comes, I observe it, it goes. And regret is just ego wishing the past had confirmed its rightness. But the past is done. I acted with the information I had. Sometimes I was wrong, sometimes I was right. Either way, it's finished. Regretting changes nothing." Musashi nodded, eyes closing. "You're learning faster than I did. Took me 30 years to understand what you've grasped in weeks. But understanding and living are different. The next principles are about relationships." He gestured weakly to the scroll. More characters had been added. Do not be jealous. Do not grieve over separation. Resentment and complaint are inappropriate, both toward oneself and toward others. Do not be guided by romantic attachment or desire. Never be jealous. Never be saddened by separation. Resentment and complaint serve neither yourself nor others. Do not be guided by lust or love. "Your next test," Musashi said, "will be the hardest. You'll return to your former clan lands. You'll see others living the life you lost. And you'll practice these 4 principles. Can you face your past without jealousy, sadness, resentment, or attachment?" Takeshi felt his chest tighten. That would be brutal. "I'll try." "No," Musashi said. "Don't try. Do or don't. Trying is halfway. Warriors don't try. They commit or they walk away. Which will you do?" "I'll commit." "Good. Leave at dawn. I'll probably be dead when you return. But if these principles are alive in you, I'll have succeeded. And my death won't matter." Chapter 4. The Relationship Principles. Precepts 7 to 10. Never be jealous. Never be saddened by separation. Avoid resentment and complaint. Do not be guided by lust or love. Takeshi stood on the hill overlooking his former clan lands. 3 years since he'd been here. 3 years since Lord Tanaka fell in battle and everything collapsed. Now, a new lord ruled. New banners flew. New samurai walked the compound. Life continued without him. Never be jealous. He walked into the town, immediately recognized faces. His former sword instructor now trained the new lord's men. Takeshi watched him drill students the same drills Takeshi had learned. Jealousy arose. That should be me. I'm as skilled as he is, more skilled. He felt it, observed it, let it pass. Jealousy was ego demanding special treatment. But what made Takeshi special? Nothing. The instructor was there because he'd made different choices. Accepted service under a new lord. That was his path. Takeshi's path was different. Neither was superior. At a tea house, he saw Akane. She'd been. Not his lover, but almost. Before the clan fell, they'd been courting. Marriage had been discussed. Now she was married to another samurai, clearly pregnant, happy. Never be saddened by separation. Pain hit him harder than he expected. Not jealousy, just loss. The future he'd imagined with her was dead. She'd moved on, built a life without him. He sat with the pain, let it be there without trying to fix it or avoid it. Separation was inevitable. People moved through life. Attachments formed and dissolved. Trying to hold on to what was gone created suffering. Accepting that separation was natural, that everything changes, created peace. He bowed to her from across the street. She saw him. Recognition flashed in her eyes. Then sadness. Then she turned back to her husband. That was right. Her life was there. He was elsewhere. At a steakhouse, he encountered 3 samurai from his former clan. They recognized him, bought him drinks, talked about the old days. Then the tone shifted. "We stayed," one said. "When everything fell apart, we swallowed our pride and served the new lord. We survived. We kept our honor. Where were you?" Resentment and complaint served neither yourself nor others. They were complaining that Takeshi had left, resenting that he'd taken a different path, trying to justify their choices by diminishing his. And part of Takeshi wanted to defend himself, to argue, to prove his path was valid. But that was engaging in the same game, resentment and complaint. "You made your choice," Takeshi said calmly. "I made mine. Both paths have value. Both have cost. I don't resent you for staying. I hope you don't resent me for leaving. But you abandoned us." "No. I walked a different path. Abandonment would mean I owed you something and failed to pay. But I owed you nothing. We served the same Lord. The Lord died. The bond ended. That's not abandonment. That's reality." One of them stood, angry. "You think you're better than us?" "No, I think I'm different from you." "That's not the same thing." They didn't fight. But they didn't reconcile either. That was fine. Takeshi wasn't seeking their approval or forgiveness. The 4th test came that night. A woman approached him at an inn. Beautiful, direct. "I remember you," she said. "You're Takeshi. I used to watch you train. You were impressive." She sat beside him, close, intentional. Do not be guided by lust or love. Desire arose, strong, physical. The loneliness of 3 years walking alone suddenly felt crushing. It would be easy. One night, connection, warmth, release. But Musashi's words, "Do not be guided by lust or love." Not do not feel, not suppress desire, but do not be guided by it. Desire was present. He felt it, acknowledged it, but letting it guide his actions, making decisions based on what his body wanted rather than what his path required, that would be weakness. "You're kind to offer," Takeshi said, "but I'm walking a path that requires solitude right now. Not forever, just now." She looked confused, maybe offended, then shrugged and left. He sat alone in his room. Desire is still present, but not controlling him. 7 days later, he returned to the cave. Musashi was barely breathing, eyes closed. But when Takeshi knelt beside him, the old master's eyes opened. "You came back." "I did. Tell me." Jealousy is ego demanding fairness from an unfair world. Separation is natural, holding on creates suffering. Resentment poisons both the holder and the target. And desire, lust, love, attachment, they're fine as experiences but terrible as guides. "Did you suffer?" "Yes." "Good. Suffering is the teacher. If you'd walked through that village untouched, you'd have learned nothing. But you suffered and didn't run. That's strength." Musashi coughed. More blood. His time was close. 4 more principles, he whispered. Then we rest. Then the final section. He pointed to the scroll. Have no preferences in anything. Be indifferent to where you live. Do not pursue fine or luxurious food. Do not cling to possessions you no longer need. In all things, have no preferences. Be indifferent to where you live. Do not pursue good food. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. These 4, Musashi said, are about detachment from externals. Your next test will strip away everything. You'll discover whether you're attached to comfort, location, pleasure, or possessions. What must I do? Give away everything you own except your swords and one set of clothes. Then travel to the mountains and live for 30 days with nothing. No shelter, no stored food, just survival, just existence, just walking alone. Chapter 5. The Detachment Principles. Precepts 11 to 14. No preferences. Indifferent to location. Don't pursue taste. Release unnecessary possessions. Takeshi owned almost nothing, but what little he had: his second set of clothes, a small jade charm his mother had given him, a wooden practice sword from his youth. These things held meaning. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. He examined each item. Did he need them, or was he attached to the stories they represented? The clothes he could survive with one set, donated to a poor farmer. The jade charm, his mother was dead. The charm wouldn't bring her back. Keeping it was clinging to the past. He placed it at her grave marker and walked away. The practice bokken, this was hardest. It connected him to his training, his youth, his identity as a warrior. He burned it, not because possession was wrong, but because attachment was a weakness. Then he walked into the mountains with nothing but his 2 swords, 1 set of clothes, and a water gourd. Day 1 to 3. Preferences. He was hungry constantly. His body screamed for specific foods: rice, fish, warm broth. In all things, have no preferences. But the mountain provided what it provided: berries, roots. Occasionally, if he was lucky, he could catch a fish or small game. Some days, the food was bitter. Some days it was bland. Some days, there was barely any. He ate what was there without preference, grateful for anything. On day 3, he found a patch of wild strawberries. Sweet, delicious, his mouth watered. He ate exactly as many as he needed for nutrition, no more, not because he was being rigid, but because pursuing the pleasure of taste would create craving. And craving would make him suffer when the strawberries were gone. Day 4 to 10. Location. He found a decent cave, dry, sheltered, good position. After 2 days, he forced himself to leave it. Be indifferent to where you live. He spent the next 6 days moving constantly, never staying anywhere longer than 1 night, sometimes sleeping on a rock, sometimes in rain, sometimes in relative comfort. He noticed his mind's preferences. This place is better. This place is worse. But preferences created attachment, and attachment created suffering when circumstances changed. By day 10, he could sleep anywhere. Rock felt the same as soft ground. Rain felt the same as shelter. His body had needs, warmth, dryness, but his mind had stopped judging locations as good or bad. They just were. Day 11 to 20. Survival. A storm came. 3 days of cold rain. Takeshi built a small lean-to, found enough food to survive. But comfort? No. He was cold, wet, and hungry. And something interesting happened. Without preference, without attachment to comfort, the discomfort became just sensation, not suffering, just cold, just wet, just hunger. Suffering was the mind saying, this shouldn't be happening. But when he stopped saying that, when he accepted cold as simply cold, not as bad cold, the suffering disappeared. The sensation remained, but the suffering was gone. Day 21 to 30. Final test. On day 21, Takeshi fell ill. Fever, nausea, weakness. He'd eaten something bad, or the cold had compromised his body. Either way, he was sick, possibly dying. Old Takeshi would have panicked, would have sought help, would have abandoned the test. New Takeshi just existed with it. If this was death, then this was death. He'd lived according to principles. He'd walked his path. If it ended here, in the mountains, alone, that was fine. No better or worse than dying in battle or dying old in bed. In all things, have no preferences, even regarding life and death. The fever broke on day 24. He was weak, emaciated, but alive. The remaining 6 days were recovery, slow walking, gentle survival, integration. On day 30, he walked down from the mountains. He owned nothing except his swords and clothes. He had no home, no clan, no master, no possessions, no preferences, no attachments. And he felt free. Not happy, not sad, not anything. Just clear, present, alive. He returned to Regando Cave. Musashi was barely conscious. Another student, the one Musashi had mentioned, Terao Magonojo, sat beside him. "You're Takeshi," Magonojo said. "Sensei has been waiting for you." Takeshi knelt beside Musashi. The old master opened his eyes, smiled weakly. "You lived?" "I did." "Tell me." "Preferences create suffering. Location is irrelevant. Food is fuel. Possessions are burdens. None of it matters. Only the path matters. Only walking matters." "Good. One more section, the final principles, about the way itself." Musashi was fading. Magonojo helped him drink water. "These last 7, Musashi whispered, "are the core. Everything else builds to these." He pointed to the scroll. "Do not follow conventional beliefs. Do not collect weapons unless they are useful. Do not fear death. Do not seek to accumulate possessions or land for old age. Respect Buddha and the gods, but do not rely on their help. Be willing to abandon your own body to preserve honor. Never stray from the way. Do not follow customary beliefs. Do not collect weapons beyond what is useful. Do not fear death. Do not seek possessions for old age. Respect Buddha and gods without expecting help. Abandon your body but preserve honor. Never stray from the way." "These final 7, Musashi said, "you cannot learn through tests. You must simply live them. For the rest of your life, promise me you'll walk the path." "I promise." Musashi closed his eyes. "Then my work is done. The scroll is complete. Magonojo will keep the original. You carry the principles in your being. That's enough." "Sensei," Takeshi said, "will you die now?" "Soon. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. Doesn't matter, death is just another moment. I don't fear it, neither should you." Chapter 6. The Way Principles. Precepts 15 to 21. Do not follow customary beliefs. Collect only useful weapons. Do not fear death. Do not seek possessions for old age. Respect the gods, but expect no help. Abandon body. Preserve honor. Never stray from the way. Musashi died that night, peacefully. In the cave where he'd written his final wisdom, Magonojo and Takeshi were with him. His last words, "The path continues. Walk it." After the burial, Magonojo showed Takeshi the complete scroll. "Sensei wanted you to understand the final 7 principles not through teaching, but through living. But I'll tell you what he told me years ago." They sat by the cave entrance, morning sun breaking over the mountains. Principle 15. Do not follow customary beliefs. Society creates beliefs about how warriors should be, what honor means, and what success looks like. Musashi said, "Test every belief. Keep what works. Discard what doesn't. Even if everyone believes it, if it's not true, abandon it." Principle 16. Do not collect weapons beyond what is useful. Musashi only kept 2 swords, one long, one short. That's all he needed. More would be a burden. Men collect weapons, armor, and trophies, thinking it makes them stronger. It just makes them attached. Principle 17. Do not fear death. This is the core. Fear of death is the root of all weakness. Fear makes you hesitate, makes you compromise, makes you cling. Musashi faced death 61 times in duels. He never lost because he never feared losing. Each duel, he accepted that he might die. That acceptance gave him freedom to act perfectly. Principle 18. Do not seek possessions for old age. Plan nothing. Secure nothing. The future is uncertain. Trying to control it creates anxiety and attachment. Musashi owned nothing. When he was young, middle-aged, or old, it made no difference. He existed in the present. Principle 19. Respect Buddha and gods, without expecting help. Honor the divine. But don't pray for victory. Don't beg for safety. Don't expect supernatural intervention. Your path is yours to walk. The gods may exist, but they won't do your work for you. Principle 20. You may abandon your body but preserve your honor. Your body is temporary. It will age, break, die. That's fine. But your honor, your integrity, your word, your principles, that's eternal. Better to die with honor than live without it. Principle 21. Never stray from the way. This is the final principle, the summary of everything. Find your way, then walk it. Forever. Without deviation, without compromise, without excuse. This is Dokkōdō, the path of walking alone. Miyamoto finished. The sun had fully risen. What will you do now? He asked Takeshi. Walk the path, alone. As Musashi taught. Where will you go? Nowhere specific. Everywhere eventually. The path isn't a destination, it's a direction. I'll walk forward. Help where I can. Fight if I must. But I won't stray. Miyamoto nodded. Then you've learned what Sensei wanted you to learn. The scroll is here if you ever need to remember, but the real scroll, he tapped Takeshi's chest, is here. You carry it now. Chapter 7 years later. 10 years passed. Takeshi walked alone. He fought bandits in the north, protected villages in the south, trained students who asked, helped farmers harvest rice, built bridges over rivers, repaired temples. He owned nothing except his swords and clothes. He feared nothing except losing his honor. He expected nothing except uncertainty. He accepted everything exactly as it was. People sometimes asked him, "Don't you get lonely? Walking alone for so long?" He'd smile. "Alone isn't lonely. Alone is free. I carry myself, that's enough." Others asked, "Don't you want a home, a family, security? Wanting creates suffering. I'm content with what each day brings." Some said, "You're wasting your life. No wealth, no legacy, no children to remember you. Memory is just the ego's bid for immortality. I'll be forgotten. That's fine. I walked the way while I lived. That's all that matters." One day, in a mountain village, he encountered a young ronin, perhaps 20 years old. Desperate, masterless, hollow. The boy approached him. "I've heard of you. Takeshi the Wanderer. They say you studied with Miyamoto Musashi, that you know the dokkodo. I lived it, still do. Will you teach me?" Takeshi looked at him. Saw himself 10 years earlier, kneeling outside a cave, ready to die. "I can't teach you," Takeshi said. "Teaching is words. You need experience. But I can share what Musashi shared. 21 principles. Each one will test you. Each one will break you if you're not ready. And if you survive them, you'll become something more than a warrior seeking a master. You'll become a warrior who needs no master." The boy's eyes lit up. "Yes, please. I'll do anything." "Good. Then we begin now. The first principle is the foundation of everything." Takeshi picked up a stick, drew a character in the dirt. "Tens. Show. Accept. Accept everything just the way it is. Your lord is dead. Your clan is gone. You're alone. Stop fighting reality. Accept it. Only then can you build something new." "How?" the boy asked. "How do I just accept?" "By going out into the world and having reality break you until you stop resisting it. That's your first test. Tomorrow, you'll leave with nothing. No food, no money, only your swords. And you'll survive for 7 days, accepting whatever happens. No complaints, no resistance, no wishing things were different." The boy looked afraid, then determined. "And then? Then we'll see if you're ready for the second principle." That night, Takeshi thought about Musashi, about the cave, about the scroll that had changed his life. The old master was dead, but his wisdom lived. In Takeshi, in Miyamoto, in this boy, in everyone who chose to walk the path alone. The way continued, generation after generation. Master to student, not through words, through living, and that was enough. Final revelation, the core truth. Years later, Takeshi was old, perhaps 60. Gray hair, weathered face, but his eyes still sharp, still seeing everything. He lived in a cave, not Musashi's cave, but similar, simple, sparse. Students came, he taught them. They left. The cycle continued. One evening, a student asked, "Sensei, which of the 21 principles is most important?" Takeshi smiled. "They're all important, but if I had to choose one, the one that unlocks all the others, it's number 17. Do not fear death." Yes, fear of death is the root of all attachment. You cling to possessions because you fear scarcity. You seek approval because you fear insignificance. You avoid risk because you fear losing what you have. You compromise your honor because you fear consequences. But when you truly accept that you'll die, not intellectually, but deeply, cellularly, everything changes. You become free. Because what can the world threaten you with? Death? You've already accepted it. Loss? You're not attached. Pain? You've made peace with it. Musashi won 61 duels because he entered each one already dead. Not suicidal, not careless, but completely free from the fear of dying. That freedom allowed perfect action, no hesitation, no holding back, no doubt. The student looked troubled. But isn't fearing death natural? How do we stop? You don't stop the fear. You walk through it. Every day. You look at death directly. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Eventually, the fear loses its power. Not because death becomes less real, but because you become comfortable with its inevitability. And then you're truly free. To walk your path. To help others. To be kind for no reward. To be strong without proving anything. To be alone without being lonely. To live without fear. To die without regret. That's dokkodo. That's the way of walking alone. Not a lonely path, but a liberated one. You walk it alone because no one else can walk it for you. But in walking it, you join everyone who's ever chosen. Freedom over safety, honor over comfort, truth over convenience. The student bowed. "Will you teach me?" Takeshi smiled. It was the smile Musashi had given him decades ago. "I can't teach you, but I can share the 21 principles. Each one will test you. Each one will change you. If you survive them, you'll become unbreakable." "I'm ready." "Good. Then we begin now." And the cycle continued. The way never ends. It's walked forever. Alone. Together. Free. Ending the legacy. 380 years after Musashi died in that cave, the scroll still exists. These aren't just historical principles. They're alive, working, right now, in anyone who chooses to walk alone, to live by their own code, to answer to themselves rather than to comfort, approval, or fear. The world hasn't changed. It's still dangerous, still uncertain, still testing everyone. But the way remains, the path of aloneness, the path of freedom. Musashi walked it. Takeshi walked it. Thousands before and after walked it. The question is, will you? Not someday, not when you're ready, not when circumstances are perfect. Now, today, this moment. The cave is empty, the master is dead, the scroll is written, but the path continues. Walk it. Alone, the way is yours.